At the beginning of the movie, we meet a boy named Sith, who has just woken up after being lost in dreams all night. Sith had neither any family nor any friends. He lived alone in his house. Actually, Sith worked in an animal control department, and the animals kept in cages there were his friends. His daily routine was very simple: going to work in the morning and returning home in the evening. He did not care much about the world. Neither was he interested in social media, nor did he have a personal life. His life was going on in a lifeless way. One day, while returning from work, he sees a beautiful girl in the bus. Sith tries to talk to her and says hi to her, but the girl does not recognize him. Sith tells that his name is Holly and they both studied in the same school. But Holly does not remember anything. Sith had feelings for Holly in his heart, and he asks her out for coffee. Holly refuses, saying that she works in a restaurant and already has a boyfriend. After a while, Holly's stop comes and she gets off without listening to Sith. Sith feels very bad about this and he becomes sad. After reaching home, Sith searches about Holly on social networking sites and finds her profile. The next day, he asks the security guard Nate how to impress girls. Nate advises him to be confident, as girls like confident boys. Just then a doctor calls Sith and asks him to bring a sick German Shepherd dog, whose name was Lakshmi. Sith was very attached to that dog. The doctor tells that the dog's disease has increased a lot and its treatment is becoming very expensive, so it will have to be killed by giving a poisonous injection. The doctor tells Sith that if he wants, he can take the dog with him, but Sith lived alone and could not take care of it. After this, Sith cremates the dog's body. During this, he sees a mysterious basement behind the animal control cage, which surprises him. Returning home, Sith again starts gathering more information about Holly. He finds out about Holly's restaurants and her likes and dislikes, and notes down all her information on a piece of paper. The next day, Sith arrives at Holly's restaurant for lunch. Holly ignores him and refuses to acknowledge him again. She is not even interested in knowing Sith's name. Despite this, Sith offers her a ride to a music concert, but Holly refuses in anger and walks away. When Holly is returning home at night, she realizes that someone is following her. She feels nervous, and soon realizes that the person following her is none other than Sith. Upon reaching home, Holly informs her friend about this. Just then, she receives a call from her boyfriend Eric, who is drunk and talking rudely to Holly. Holly hangs up in anger. The next day, when Holly arrives at the restaurant, she finds some flowers as a gift. She thinks that Eric might have sent these flowers to apologize. When Holly meets Eric in the evening and asks him about the flowers, Eric denies that he sent them. Holly realizes that it must be Sith's doing. At the same time, Sith suddenly arrives and asks Holly out on a date again. He reveals that he was the one who sent the flowers to the restaurant. Hearing this, Eric gets furious and beats Sith up in anger. Sith is seriously injured. After this, Sith finds Holly's diary, in which Holly used to write her personal thoughts and secrets every day. By reading the diary, Sith comes to know many secrets of Holly's life. Sith now knows everything about Holly, and his behavior has become like a scary stalker. The next day, Sith arrives at his work and enters the mysterious basement that he had seen earlier. With the help of the internet, he builds a cage there and steals an injection from the clinic that paralyzes animals. He tests the injection on his own body, which paralyzes his body for some time. The next night, when Holly is going towards her apartment, Sith follows her again. There was no one else in Holly's apartment at that time. Taking advantage of this, Sith injects her, which paralyzes Holly's body. Sith kidnaps her and locks her in a box and brings her to the basement of the animal department. When Nate sees the box, Sith distracts him with other things and hides Holly in the basement, where he had already made all the preparations. Sith locks Holly in the cage he had prepared in advance. When Holly regains consciousness after a while, she finds herself trapped in the cage. She panics badly and tries to get herself out, but all her attempts fail. During this, one of her nails breaks and falls on the ground. Holly screams loudly for help, But being in the basement and due to the noise of animals outside, her voice is not able to reach anyone. She remains trapped in the same darkness and loneliness all night, in the cold, scary atmosphere of basement. The next day, Sith comes and gives her some food and paper to clean the toilet. Also, he reminds Holly of his name, as Holly had never shown interest in knowing his identity. After this, he leaves from there without saying anything and does not return for the next 2-3 days. 3 days later, when Sith comes to Holly again, he sees that her condition has worsened a lot. Holly lies in a state of despair, very weak and tired. Sith gives her water and food. When he starts to leave, Holly tries to stop him, but Sith does not listen to her and goes back. Now Holly is completely alone in the basement when she sees her friend Clary, who is not really there. It was Holly's illusion. Holly does not want to use the toilet paper Sith gave her, but she has no other choice. Then she sees that a rat has come near her cage and is trying to eat her shit. At first Holly is very scared, but then in anger she kills the rat with her feet. During this, anger and disappointment are clearly visible on her face. The next day, when Sith comes again, Holly taunts him and asks him, "Do you want me to sit in a NASA rocket?" Sith laughs and replies, "I don't want to kill you, but if necessary, I will definitely launch you to another world." He further says, "I have brought you here not to kill you but to save you. From the first time I saw you, I have fallen madly in love with you." After this, Sith starts leaving the basement, but this time his partner Net becomes alert after seeing something suspicious. The next day, Sith again comes to Holly and shows her her diary, in which Holly had written her personal things. Sith asks Holly about her friend Clary. Holly replies, "I don't know anything about her." But Sith says, "I heard you talking to Clary." During this, Sith gets nervous, because he starts hearing someone else's voice in the basement. He nervously asks Holly, "Is Clary here too?" Holly replies, "No, she is not here." Sith then sees Clary's shadow behind him, but assumes it's a result of Holly's ill mental state and says, "You're imagining things because you're not well." Sith then begins to tell Holly everything that was written in her diary, revealing her deepest feelings and secrets. Some time ago, Eric was engaged, but Holly learns from Eric's phone that Eric and Clary were having an affair. Hurt by this, Holly took Clary with her and caused a car accident. Both were seriously injured in this accident. After this, Holly deliberately put a piece of glass in Clary's eyes, which caused her death. Holly tells Sith that she is a writer and the things written in her diary are just a fictional story. But Sith tells that he also thought the same at first, but when he went to the police station, he came to know about Clary's death. After keeping an eye on Holly for several days, Sith understood that many people were killed because of Holly, some of whom were burnt alive and some were strangled. Sith tells that he has imprisoned Holly so that she cannot harm more people. The next day, when Sith comes to Holly again, he sees a change in Holly's behavior. Holly was cleaning her body. When Sith asks her about other murders, Holly angrily bangs her head on the cage, injuring her. Sith had not fed Holly for several days. When Holly asks him for food, Sith refuses. Holly then starts talking sweetly to him and says that she has fallen in love with Sith. Sith gets convinced by Holly's words and goes to give her food, but when he starts going out, Nat sees him coming out of the basement. After Sith leaves, Nat goes to the basement and sees Holly locked in a cage. Holly pleads with him for help, but when Nat tries to break the lock, it doesn't break. Sith suddenly arrives there. Holly tells Sith to kill Nat with a block lying nearby, and Sith does the same. After this, Sith also becomes a killer like Holly. Sith removes evidence by removing Nate's fingerprints and teeth and chops up his body and feeds it to dogs for 2 days. The police begin investigating Nate's disappearance, and Sith becomes suspicious. The police tell him that they will keep an eye on him, which frightens Sith. After this, when Sith comes to Holly, Holly starts talking to him lovingly and asks for one of his fingers as proof. Sith is shocked to hear this, but then cuts off his finger in anger. Holly tells Sith that if he does not let her go from here, she will kill herself. Hearing this, Sith opens the cage door. Holly comes out and kisses him, which makes Sith think that Holly really loves him. But suddenly Holly stabs Sith and kills him and leaves from there. A few days later, Holly is seen with Eric, and the fictional story written by her has been published. However, Eric is still cheating on her. Then one day Holly goes to a warehouse where a strange man is locked in a cage with one of his fingers cut off. The man is a Sith, and it is revealed that Holly did to the Sith what the Sith did to her. The story ends with this scene. If you like more such interesting movie explanations, then subscribe, like, and comment on the channel. Thanks.